All right, so probably the most important thing right now is, and what the Aussies have been knowing right now, is the fact that nothing worse than playing two very good international players and beating 2-love down. The high importance here is the start of the set. If you can get to 5-all, you've still got a chance. Yeah? At the same time, you can't be too passive. The game is obviously on the Koreans' terms. So let's see what Alex and the boys have been able to manipulate, keeping in mind that we think at the moment the Koreans are playing short middle, long wide backhand, and that's the key for them to win on the service return. A bit of mistrust there from Bob. One of the things in doubles, you've got to make sure you trust your partner. You've got to make sure that you stay close, trusting that your partner's going to make a good ball. Hensel's forehand, bit of a weakness there, you know. But that flick from the Korean out to the Hensel's forehand also works in conjunction with the middle short and the wide backhand. You're using the 3 widest points right now. Probably another area that they'll manipulate now is middle long. There you go, short again. That's an amazing point. Oh, that's seriously very, very, very good. At the same time, the Koreans were close. They were in position, so they were dictating point. Remember that the Koreans are on top when it comes to the game strategy. The Australians aren't really sure about where they're winning points. I haven't been watching that much too either, so I don't really know what the Australians' tactics are yet. At this stage, it looks like the Australians are just moving balls around everywhere. I can see that the Koreans have an area that they're trying to play. It's quite precise. It's quite stringent. Here we go. Some of the things going through Hensel's mind right now is the backhand flick. That's what I was just about to say, the forehand opener. You can't allow your opponent to dictate with their serve. You've also got to remind them that, hey, if you're going to serve too long, I'm going to loop. I'm not going to take for granted you're serving short. So now the Korean will definitely go short again, which means Hensel can do the backhand flick. He can't believe he missed it. Important point. He set that up by making that first forehand loop. By saying to the Korean, you can't serve too long, which stops me from playing my backhand loop, because I've got a forehand loop too. At the same time, if you go short, I've got my backhand loop, and then the point's on our terms again. Good topspin serve. There was that topspin serve, which has stopped the Korean from going short. Hensel's starting to put the game in his terms again. Frank's just going along for the ride, to be honest. Good topspin serve again. Ball didn't go higher. Ball's gone short. Okay, sloppy point. Difference between a top 20 player, in my opinion, and a top 100 player was just that little bit of sloppiness there. A bit of, they weren't sure what was going on at that point. Good serve, good push. Gone wide again. Frankie's still moving too far back. Good point, but Frankie's still moving too far back because he's uncertain of where that ball's coming.
Yeah. Playing cautiously.
Yeah, the Koreans would have been okay with that. The Koreans are okay with that point. They would feel like, hey, we were on top. Frank made a good ball to win it for them. Good wide push. Okay, so it looks like the Aussies have decided, let's go wide to the Koreans' forehand, which eliminates, remember what we were talking about, going wide to the Aussies' backhands?
Yep.
By going wide to the Koreans' forehand, all of a sudden you can't go wide to our backhand, which allows us to turn the game on our side again.
It restricts where you can hit it.
Correct. Wide to the forehand, good flick. The Aussies are turning this on their side now. You can just see that the tactics are starting to work a little bit. At the same time now, and remember what I said at the start of the set, that start of the set is the most important to make sure it's still a game. Now the important time comes. Will the Aussies put the ball on the table when it counts? Good ball, well done, well done. You can always rely on William on that. Top 100 player in the world. He's going to put the ball on. Com games, Frank missed some. That was the difference.
Yeah.
Important points, good players, top 100, top 200 players, they do not miss that shot, they'll make the service return every time on the table. So we've gone back to the Korean serve. Hensel's trying to do the backhand flick again. Good. Points on their terms. Kurva much. Hensel can't believe it. The Koreans are grovelling right now, if you haven't noticed. They're just hanging in there. They're 6-7. The game's in the Aussies' favour. At the same time, it's 2-love for the Koreans, so they know that all they have to do is hang in there. Pressure's on the Koreans. Good pick from Hensel. Very good pick. He didn't pivot too early. He knew that the Korean might serve a bit longer. The Korean tried to trick him with the long serve. Remember what we just said a second ago? The Korean was going to... The Koreans are just hanging in there. He served long in hope that Hensel made a mistake at 7-all.
Yeah.
At 7-6, exactly. Here we go. Top spin serve, short serve. No, yes, top spin serve. Good flick to the backhand. Remember what we said? Got to take those opportunities. There was the opportunity, 8-7 instead of 9-6.
Yeah. Very important point now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've changed up the serve. We already know that. The Koreans know that.
Lucky top edge.
Just by changing the type of serve, instead of doing the tomahawk serve that he's been doing all set, he changed up the serve. It changed up the whole pattern of play.
Yep.
From that moment, it was a feel again. Everyone had to feel out what was happening in the point. The Aussies won it with a push.
Yeah.
Who would have thought, right? Here we go. Momentum's the key right now. It's always an area with Hensel that you can sometimes win a free point, a short forehand loop. He reaches forward.
What would cause getting a top edge like that?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A short topspin a bit higher when Hensel was expecting it to come deeper. He's reached, hit the top edge. Again, remember what I said? Frankie makes the mistake again.
Yeah.
They're the important points.
Yeah.
Hensel had to make a counter loop to win the point to go to 10-8. Meanwhile, Frank misses a push to go 9-all.
Yeah. Yeah, two different shots completely.
Good players don't miss that.
Yeah. And Frankie's got one of the best receives in the world up serves. Not always.
That's why it's not the best receiver in the world, mate. Meanwhile, Hensel makes a good ball.
Yeah.
Next step for Frank is to really get that in his life, you know, the fact that good players don't miss that. And that's the difference between being a 450 and a 200 or a 100.
Getting the winning
Here we go.
shot.
Here we go. No spin serve, good push.
Oh, that was huge.
So what we gathered there was by going wide to the Koreans early in the set to the forehand side, they were then able to free up the game from 5-all.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't think that the coaches and the players are completely aware of that. It's more a subconscious thing. I was sitting with the boys, my young team, under 21 team, and I was talking a bit with them the other day, and I said to them, they said, how do you coach in that 1 minute? And I just explained to them that you need to be really calm.
Yeah.
Because you've only got 60 seconds to give instructions, yet you've got 22 points that are being played.
Yeah.
The players are in so much control with 22 points that are being played, whilst the coach has 60 seconds to give you something, something to maybe manipulate the game.
Diagnostic 40%.
Correct, which is not much. At the moment, as a coach on the bench, I rate myself 5 out of 10. You know, I'm very nervous. I'm coaching 21-year-old.
Sure, you're better than that.
I'm coaching 15-year-old kids that I'm trying to tell them to stay calm, and that takes 30 seconds, and then I've got 30 seconds to get my message across, which is really difficult.
Yeah, hard for you to
Exactly. Here we go.
Sort of, Koreans up 2 sets to 1.
Yep. There we go.
You Korea song. Is that no spin serve?
I didn't see the signal. Was it? Yep, fist, no spin serve. Here we go. Okay, if the Koreans are going to be spinning up long serves to Hensel's backhand, they've already lost the match. Any long serve needs to be crunched wide to Hensel's forehand, which puts pressure on Frank to make sure he serves short, and then you start getting the game on their terms. Good backspin push to the middle. Not a bad point from the Aussies, not a bad point from the Koreans. If the Koreans want to swing this in their favour, they're going to have to loop those long serves. Put some pressure on Frankie. There's that wide ball again we spoke about. This guy's really using the angles, the Korean boy.
There's 2 backhands in a row.
Yep. Look, they're not unforced. They're good plays. Hensel wouldn't miss it. Frankie may. Good flick.
Not much you can do about that.
one of the hard things in doubles is you choose to make a play and your partner somewhat needs to anticipate.
Yeah. What you've
And
done.
in that sense there, in that one there, Frankie was just caught off guard, you know.
Yeah.
It was a good loop from Frankie. That's a good flick. That's strong.
You read that serve well.
And that's what I was saying about Frankie's serve. The Koreans need to get onto that long serve.
Yeah.
Against two dominant backhand players, any opening you have needs to be bang out to the forehand, which puts a bit of fear into the Aussies.
Yeah.
Good backspin serve. Now there's that wide ball into the backhand again.
So 5-1.
5-1. The Koreans have played two very good balls to get to 5-1. They put one wide out to the forehand and they put one wide out to the backhand. Two unforced errors from Frank. You're down 5-1, 2 sets to 1. Yeah, it's almost good night.
Deciding set.
Yeah, a couple of points here. It's very interesting to watch. At 5-1, you'll always see a bit of looseness. At 2-1, you know, that was just a loose shot from a player who's probably 150 in the world.
Yeah.
Top 20 player in the world would put that spin on every day of the week.
Yeah.
Serve went a bit long, Frank goes long, Korean hits the winner.
And just try and block it.
Frankie was hoping for a short serve there, right?
2-6.
2-6. Great rally, great rally. Yes.
He's amazing off the bounce.
But that was quite interesting. It was a bit, you know, I spoke to Hensel last night and he said he's done a lot of work on his forehand and what sort of, how that's going to come into his game. And to be totally honest, he wouldn't have practiced that shot. From the practice he's done, he's found a new shot.
3-7.
So good anticipation there from the Korean. He actually chose his shot. He knew what Frank was going to do. In that sense there, it's a cat and mouse game. Frank had to have come up with something anticipating that the Korean was going to do it. Very difficult, but...
You've played this Korean serving now?
Yep. That's a big forehand. Anticipated again, the Korean. He knew exactly what was going to happen. He knew exactly what was going on right there, didn't he?
Yep. Set up from the word go.
So a lot of the times when you're playing, you'll lose a point, but you'll put it in the memory bank.
Yeah.
And straight after you lose it, as you're walking to the towel, you'll think to yourself, in your mind, you'll see it like a video roll.
A replay.
A replay, but you'll see yourself do it a different way, a better way.
Yeah.
And that was what that was. He'd already seen that happen before. Fixing up what was an error before, fixing it up to win the point now.
Yeah.
And often at the crucial points, people tend to do the same things.
Yeah.
Long serve again. See, that was that one. I really believe the Korean needs to be going wide on that.
Yeah. Frankie's got a very good backhand toss spinner.
Off that weaker ball, you just have to crunch it cross court for a winner. If it's up, it may not be in his making though, in the Koreans' making. 9-5. Last chance for the Aussies. Middle, short. There was that tendency again. Two balls out wide, game over. 10-5. Now you're hoping for a momentum swing.
They look like they're just enjoying it now.
I'd be surprised if Hensel's enjoying losing. Interesting match, 11-5, 2-1, the Koreans. Thanks, PBS Mick.
Thanks, Simon Drider.